think we have explored everything here. Right. So let's try going back to the barber shop. It might be that while doing that, we've gotten that the police will have sent a message. We will talk, of course, as we do. Went to the Palace of Fine Arts, the driver said when I asked about his weekend. They were holding a guest gallery. My girl is a big Georgia O'Keeffe fan. Myself, I don't get all this new stuff. What's so hard about painting some wavy lines? For this trip, we spoke about the other artwork that had been on the display. Pieces from Charles Sheeler, Louis Lozowick, Edward Steichen, and many more. I was sad to have missed it, but when we stopped at my destination, I left my envy in the taxicab and refocused on the case at hand. Yep. Okay, I need to talk to you then. Oh, hello. Frame on the back wall contained a yellow photograph of an old man. He had an authentic smile and held scissors in his left hand. Ooh, left-handed, eh? Talk to Stable. Well, Miss Malone, will there be anything else? Let's ask you about the picture frame then, which I assume will be your granddad. Point to the picture frame. That your grandfather? Stable turned to look at the photograph and nodded. Yes, that is my... Zadi? Taken near the end of his life. Asked him further questions about his grandfather, but Stable refused to elaborate. Anything else? Let's look at our statements. Right. New bootlegging scheme with Connor Green. Green claims you bootleg, I stated bluntly. His grin didn't waver in his response. Would you hang me on Connor Green's claims? I may partake in some gambling, and I may have a talent for it, but it is nothing illegal, I assure you. I knew nothing about Green's own bootlegging? Stable shook his head. I doubted he would ever answer a question straight. Well, Miss Lone, anything else? Okay. Mrs. Green, singer at the Tin Spoon. Cannot see how this is relevant to anything I've said. Came to reply. The Black Hand letter is actually fake. Shipman tells me Green's letter is a forgery, I said Stable. Yes, Miss Malone, that I told you, but I'm curious whether Mr. Green himself knows it. No, you didn't. You didn't tell me it was a forgery, you told me it was the Black Hand. Stable still would admit no knowledge of the note. Right. Takes us to St. Louis. Let's ask about that. Showed something in my notes, but I got no good information from the exchange. Now, Tiny Paul didn't send the note either. Can I say this is relevant to what I've said? Okay, that's kind of true because... Yes. Yeah, I've got a few things. I need to work on, what is it? Investigate Green's bootlegging and discover Green's past. I've already asked about suspecting, I think, haven't I? I asked Stable again about Green's bootlegging claims, but he continued to deny any knowledge of that type of business. Scout notes, statements. The hat rack. Fraser & Co. Furnishings. I know, Stable wasn't really where his wealth had come from. Okay. Don't. Okay. I wonder if anything new's popped up then. Back to Southern Coffee. If nothing else, we can ask for some hints, because I think we're at a point of not being sure what I'm doing. Talk to the driver man. Exchange forgettable banter with the driver. Hear the latest news about Harry Doherty. I talked about Doherty with him. Seems Coolidge is about ready to fire the guy. Who'd have thought the Attorney General would be Attorney General would be their fall guy? Not shocked about the higher gang scandals themselves? I asked. He laughed heartily. Sister, politics is all scandal. Presidential politics even more. You think Harding would have been elected without some greased palms? Everyone gets rich, she's in the know. We just gotta hope they fill their coffers while not killing the rest of us. I agreed. Guess the cronies didn't expect Harding to die so quickly. Not enough time to cover up. Of course, the politicians themselves are just demagogues. The real leaders are the bosses, enriching themselves while controlling their public puppets. Pulled up to my destination. Here we are. I thanked him and left the taxicab. Yeah, let's go and chat. Oh, hello. Bar stools were crooked and worn. My usual one was in the centre of the room. I could sit on it for hours if Frankie had a yarn to spin. Of course, the sauce helped keep me in place too. Let's talk, shall we? Ask about message. Any messages? Nothing yet, Miss Chief. Shipment's supposed to call you about green? What have we got so far? No real breaks to speak of. Well, alright. I'll let you know if this shipment gives me a call. I thank them. What else you got? Chasing Green's bootlegging connection. I wondered aloud how I could get more dirt on Green's bootlegging. Frankie thought about it. Well, Green's working with Tiny Paul on the scheme. If I were to buy from a new source, I'd have to try it. Get a taster. Ah, so there's like some stuff around. Maybe I can ask Paul about whatever booze I find in there. Okay. Okay. I think this is probably what I'll do if I get stuck, is I'll ask about the goals, rather than individual evidence. Because that'll give me hints as to what to do. So I'll ask about Green's past. Still I have no idea what to make of Green's past. Perhaps something in Green's house could give you some hint. Agreed and thanked them for the advice. Never mind. Swiveled away from the bar. Let's head out. So, let's go back to Tiny Paul. That might help. I mean, at some point I'm just going to stop talking to these guys. But I'll keep talking. The youth driving the taxi cab was driving in shirt sleeves, his hat and jacket on the front bench beside him. Conversation led into the local dance club. We talked about dances. Every gal right now wants the turkey trot, he said. But I don't know nobody who can keep it up all night. Give me the shimmy or the black bottom all day. Why not a waltz? I asked. You flappers always kidding a fella around. There's no chance you'll get a band to play a waltz, not a swing club anyhow. Tired by the end of it, I barely got energy to walk home. Lucky that you don't need to walk, I smiled as we arrived. Yes, we're in. Bar's still closed, but you can go up. So, let us talk. Ask about notes. Evidence. The wine bottle. Bottle of unlabeled wine sat on the table. It smelled of strong spice. Bottle on the table? I asked. That's the stuff. A sample from green sauce. I know some Napa wine that smells exactly like it. I said to him, that's so, he said. Well, that one's from Vancouver. I had to work every muscle in my face to stop my jaw from hitting the floor. Where's the wine from, Paul? I asked him again. It's from Vancouver, he repeated. Frankie had told me that only Napa grapes had this type of spice. If Paul didn't know this bottle was local, I wasn't going to tell him. But it told me something very important. I had to confirm with Frankie, but if my hunch was on the money, then Connor Green was not getting his wine from Canada, and he wasn't playing square with Tiny Paul. Anything else? Paul asked me. I snapped back into the moment and considered if I needed him to tell me anything else, although I just snagged quite the load. I didn't have anything else to say to him, so he cranked his knuckles, arched over the table, and resumed his shot. Yeah, I think we can get out at this point, which gives us an awful lot of insight about old Green. Oh, no, let's not go there yet. Let's have a look around Green's house and see if we can find anything else. Because the implication is I'm missing something. I stepped into the taxi and rocked into a comfortable position on the back seat. I thought about starting a chat with the driver. Let's talk. The driver was an economics student at Stanford, working to pay his room and board. He was an enthusiastic talker, the type of student who had yet to discover that he was not the foremost expert on any topic, and he disseminated European politics as though he were preaching an unquestionable gospel. I indulged him. This should be fun. And listened a while. You see, he said with a proud grin, France and England will be fine. They're going through the same resurgence that's happening here. The war has only made them stronger. I asked about Germany. Oh, the filthy Hun, he snorted. Why should we care about them? Chancellor Marx puts out a statement asking us to take away our sanctions. If he wanted a fair shake, he shouldn't have started a war. What? I disagreed. The Germans just depleted their gold reserves last month. They won't be able to run their country. The people will have to break free somehow, and it might not be pretty when they do. Fritz coming back? Not in your lifetime, miss. We've stamped them down for good. This is why the world is a mess. Idiots. Not Americans, idiots. Idiots in every country. Rolled to my destination and I exited the taxi cab. Let's head to the green place. I can't talk to Miss Green. This is the thing, it's like, oh, go there, you'll find something. I've spent cigarettes. She was trapped in her opium days, couldn't tell anything. Certainly looked identical to Lewis's. Might have been a difficult jackal, but its recent appearance is off-putting. Don't think there's anything else, unfortunately. For all that... Ooh, something else. Talk to her. I shook her slightly and she moaned again, but said nothing more. Only this. And nothing more. Let's escape. Yeah, so we will head back to the Southern Coffee. We might not get anything out of there, but we can ask about we can check about the grapes. Talk. We talked about the weather and not much else. Ooh, it looks like we've looped. Right. Let's talk to Frankie. Ask about messages. Any messages? Nothing yet. Well, you like this. Remember the wine you offered me? Oh, my Zinfandel. You nearly finished. Where did you say that grape was from? It's from here, California. Napa or Sonoma. You sure? Yes, Malone. It's the only place these grapes grow nowadays. And not Canada? What you swinging at, Malone? Tiny Paul had a bottle of wine that tasted the exact same. That identical spice. He said it was from Green's bootlegging source. Vancouver. Malone, I'm telling you, he said. No wine anywhere else in the world has that spice. It ain't from Vancouver, and Green ain't getting it cheap. And I nodded. Well, you just confirmed my hunch. Green's got no source. He must be swindling Tiny Paul and the entire ferry gang. And I bet he'll run away with the money. Frankie let out a long whistle in disbelief. Just then the phone rang. Frankie picked up with a, hello. Right. Then handed me the receiver saying, Shipman. PC, he said, his excited voice crackling the speaker. Find anything on Green, I asked. Nothing. I was puzzled. Then why'd you call? That's the idea. First got pinched for a brawl in the ferry building. That was November 1920. Before that, no Connor Green around the bay. Strange. Has trouble staying out of a mess, mixed up in something nearly every week. But only appearing a few years ago? That Oakland backstory is Swiss cheese. What are you thinking? Green's got a different past? I asked. Uh-huh. Guess that he just got here in 1920, never been straight about where he's from. Wait. If Connor Green was a criminal in another town, especially easily some cop would recognize the name and send him back home. SFPD isn't that thick. Right. If it's the same name, could be his real identity disappeared in another town. I thought aloud. So he might have changed lives. Is there any way to confirm that? If Green fled, the local bulls would keep looking for him, but not if they thought he died. Get these cases together, where mobsters fake a death to escape a burg. Use a mangled stiff to do it, someone unrecognizable. That way, they get out of town without a chase. Got any mobster deaths in 1920, I asked. A ton. Too many to look through, but narrow the search for me. A town he might be from. I could check a specific city's archives. Anything in your notes that tells us where he could be from? I've got a sneaking suspicion that might be what St. Louis is about. Found some tickets to St. Louis in Green's apartment, I told him. The missus was ruffled when I picked them up. I stayed on the telephone while Shipman used another line to call his contact at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I was nursing a glass of gin when he got back to me. Lucky break, PC? Seems as one that fits the bill. He read aloud an article from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, dated October the 8th, 1920. Gun battle in June's diner. Gangster dead. Suspected banned at the clubhouse scene of another shooting. A heated argument turned deadly Thursday as multiple shots rang inside June's diner on 14th Street, suspected hideout of Egan's Rats. A man was found dead at the scene, unidentified due to shotgun wounds to his face. Police suspect he's mobster Bragg, the jester, who had hired a private eye to investigate threats on his life. Oh, I see. So he's faked the letter to be like, ooh, look, I'm being threatened. And then he's gonna... And I really hope this isn't the end of the game. Last month, Chief of Police Brannon said investigating gangster on gangster deaths was a waste of time, and the discovery of the threats lead many... the discovery of the threats leads many to believe police won't look further into the case. So he's going to use me to do this. He's going to fake his own death and go back to St. Louis, potentially. Which seems a bit weird. Hold on. This Breg character is hired as a private detective. Seems police are quick to forget a case, forget a reason to think it's just gangster violence. This lines up with Green, I said. Gets better. Breg's first name? Connor. I cursed loudly through the telephone. I continued with my theory, and your story says this Breg was deeply indebted, so maybe Green's just waiting in San Francisco until he's got enough dough to skip town and go home. He have some bootlegging business? Shipman asked. Why would he leave that behind? No. I shook my head. His wine is complete bunk. It's local stuff, not any Canadian route he might be claiming. I didn't know why he'd pulled a fast one until now. Returning Breg to St. Louis could be huge. Swing by the station. We'll iron it all out. I agreed and slammed the receiver on its pegs. Seemed I need to make my station. Once theirs led to the outside world. So what's the news on Green? Frankie asked as I was heading up the stairs. Now it seemed like I had all the details. This is it? Oh. I summarised it for him. So, total wrap. Green isn't really Green at all. He's Breg, the Jester, former member of Egan's Rats from St. Louis. Is it, or is it St... No, it is St. Louis, isn't it? He's Breg? Frankie was shocked. But he's been here a while, Malone. Sure, but only since 1920. He couldn't pay off his debts in Missouri, so he faked his death and moved to San Francisco. He's been longing to go back, but he needs a way to settle his score before he can show his face again. Is that where his bootlegging comes in? Uh-huh. Green set up a sham rum running scheme. He bought local wine, but claimed to get it at lower prices from Canada. He convinced Tiny Paul to front him a heap of cash for it. Instead of providing the wine, he's planning to skip town with Paul's money, disappearing to St. Louis with enough dough to pay back his debts. He already faked his deaths once, so he'll do it again here, right? That's right. His plan is similar to his last one. Hire a detective claiming he's scared for his life, fake his death, then know the police won't be bothered with underground violence. Frankie looked at me with a blank stare. Seems like all the pieces fit. So he just hired you as cover? Seems like it. I've not had to do any contradicting, really. Don't worry about that. Frankie started saying, but I cut him off. Going to see Shipman now. I'll sweep away this mess, then come back and see you. Have a stiff drink ready, I instructed. Just be careful, Malone. Egan's Rats have a reputation. They can be ruthless. Especially when they're cornered. I turned and walked up the stairs. There's only one place to go. The police station. Green had hired me for cover so that he could blow town. Shipman held the final evidence to sink that plan. I needed to get to the station.